Right, but NASA lies though. They're a bunch of liars.
So
They're
do the
all
Russians.
they're all liars. They're all that way. Anyways, so Phobos 2 was taking very good pictures of the Phobos 2 probe was taking very good pictures of the Phobos when something strange happened. It unexpectedly did start to spiral out of a very stable orbit or whatever it was lined up to do. But the whole time it was doing that, it was actually taking pictures and transferring the pictures back. And the last 5 pictures that it took were very, very, very disturbing before the probe blanked out. And so, when those pictures came back to the Russians, they refused to release those last 5 pictures for several years. But because this was a joint international, help me out, Jay, teamwork, I don't know, whatever it was, right? Just
It was an international mission,
we're
right?
all just getting along, right?
For science stuff, I mean, I think that's kind of the agreement, right?
We're all just
We
getting
have
along.
treaties for that.
They released one of the 5, right? They classified the other 4, never released it. And the one picture that they released showed that Phobos probe was actually knocked out of orbit by I wrote this down here, a 15-mile spacecraft, right? And I'm actually going to put the shadow of that spacecraft right here through the power of editing in our show that we snatched, and we put it up there. And so now, I'd actually heard that before, right? And I actually said that it got knocked out of orbit. And I thought it was a lie. Whatever. No, it didn't. I used to think that we never actually went there, that it was total BS, and that, this was just, more lies. But then me and this cat right here, several episodes ago, we did a podcast about the Sumerian clay tablets and the Anunnaki. And in those Sumerian clay tablets, after the flood, the Anunnaki left the earth and they actually went to Mars. It says that in the clay tablets. They set an outpost there when they left. And so then I did some more deep diving on this. And that right there, Jay, I don't know when this took place. I don't know how long ago it was. Is the number one theory about what happened to Phobos 2 was that 15-mile ship was actually an Anunnaki ship that knocked them out of orbit and crashed them into wherever they crashed. And they also, the same ship was the one that knocked the first one out of orbit as well. And they just didn't, they don't ever release that information to it. And that got me thinking, and that got me digging. And then some more people were doing the same thinking and the same digging as I was. And they pulled up the photos that Phobos had been taking, and the probe was actually very, very, very similar to the layouts of the cities in ancient Egypt as well, especially when I think it was the 3 pyramids that line up exactly with Orion's belt, or there's definitely some star charts lined up.
Abnormal features, right?
Yeah. And that's a nice. That's a nice show, y'all. Thanks for tuning in.
No. There's a huge obelisk there.
Oh, so yeah, right? So before we go into that, man, I got to catch my breath here. I got that down here. We'll talk about that, but that's not the weirdest thing that happened. Right?
I'm trying to look at these. I'm trying to look at these photos, right? Yeah. I'm trying to look at the final photos it took.
Yeah,
and the whole UFO shooting it down thing, that I get that. I see the shadow, right? Like the shadow is weird. I thought that is that the thing?
So that's what they're saying. That's what they're saying it was, is that so Phobos was actually so the Phobos was actually taking, the Phobos probe was actually in the process of taking a picture of the obelisk that Jay was just referring to. There is an obelisk on that moon that is 279 feet wide and 300 feet tall, right?
Yeah, it's big.
And it's shiny, right?
It's
And
shiny.
and so that's
Oh
when
yeah.
that's what it was locking on to take pictures of, and it got pictures of it, and that's when it got knocked out of orbit, right? And so that right there by itself, if no other photos would have came back from this mission, that right there itself is enough to make anybody say, okay, that is 100% man-made. And so I like to give everybody tips about going into the wilderness and the jungles and stuff like that. Here's another pro tip that you will save your life. Nature doesn't do 90-degree angles. It likes everything, curvers, roughages, or anything like that. So if you come across
Things
something,
come in like this, like
yeah,
asteroid,
yeah,
you know, asteroids or meteors, however you want to look
yeah,
at it, they don't typically come straight in
yeah,
for whatever reason,
yeah,
right? Gravity, blah 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 blah, trajectory, all that stuff. They usually typically come in at an angle,
right.
right? So yeah, this thing skinning straight up and down is
Yeah, this thing
odd.
is basically the Washington Monuments is sticking out of out of this moon is what it looks like, and that doesn't occur naturally in nature, right? It just doesn't happen, right? In fact, when you're walking through the woods and you're trying to conceal yourself, if you're ever paintballing or you're fighting the United Nations, you want it to really break up your color patterns and your stuff as well. No
Yeah,
right
you want
angles.
to break up your silhouette so that you don't show up as a
Yeah,
human.
exactly. And another way to do it with your camouflage is that if you're going to use war paint, you want to lighten the dark areas under your eyes and darken the light areas of your face right here. So you want to go dark here, light here. I'm going with Deadpool all day. I'm rocking all day, son. That's how I'm fighting the apocalypse, man. With the Deadpool paint on the whole time.
All right, I'll make sure I put that in my facial recognition software.
And so not only did this probe catch a 300 foot, basically 300 by 300 obelisk on the potato shaped moon, it also took very strange pictures of what looked like subway tunnels running through the Earth on Mars, as well as what looked like the remnants of cities, statues, a lot of right angles, just a lot of, imagine if you blew a brick house up, a lot of bricks that were laying around that just wasn't naturally there, right? And so yeah, this is very strange, and how that situation
It's a,
worked out, right?
has a weird shaped. That is a weird shaped
It,
body.
it is.
Like I'm looking at pictures of it.
Subscribe now and turn on the notifications to join us on this extraordinary journey into the unknown.